Yeah, what I was trying to explain to my lady is my interest with Mexico is like Guatemala, the Olmec centers, Aztec and the Maya centers in Mexico and their designs, their architecture, studying pre-Columbian era of America, and doing some Egyptology, the Great Pyramid Subjective Complex, and all of the temples in Egypt, which I think all these things are linked to because all of them have Sumerian programs. I learned all of the information I can possibly know. It's like this place, Otulam, which is in the Petén region, Palenque, on the outside. The Maya and the Olmec centers were right near each other. All of them were temples of the sun temples, solar temples, temple of the cross. This is a place that I'm very interested in, Otulam, the Otulam River. This is a old Olmec center, which later became a center for the Maya. Okay. Well, also Semitic people who are said to be seed of Abraham. We're learning all of this stuff. I've learned the masonry and the architecture and the designs of my ancestors. And I've come up with my own designs. Okay. Like I was trying to explain to her, I'm interested in those places because, like Guatemala Market in Guatemala City, they have craftsmen, blacksmiths, women who know how to knit apparel, textiles, and stuff like that. They know how to wake up every day to the sun and go to their trade, making clothes, making jewelry, making furniture, or doing the upkeep and the maintenance of a traditional historical landmark in the land area, like the Zapotecs is another place that I'm interested in, the Zapotecs. They've always lived independent of the Spanish. They, like maybe in 1551, they became subjected to the Spanish, but they always still lived independent. And they live in the highlands. So what I'm saying is, I'm interested in the cultural, the Indian Mexico, the Indian part of Mexico. The pre-Columbian era of America is in Mexico, okay, with the Indians, the West Indies, and all those solar places where they believed in the sun gods. So, well, that's my interest. I mean, they just recently, in the city of Houston, they have a mall called Plaza Americas. And at Plaza Americas, they got the logo of what they say is the stone of the fifth sun. Stone of the fifth sun. This logo right here, which is said to be the Aztec calendar stone. But it obviously, I did some research on it during the time when that mall in Houston was called Sharpstown Mall. In the 80s and the late 90s, in the early 2000s, like 2001, 2002, it was always called Sharpstown Mall. Okay. But when I started making breakthroughs and doing research about the Aztecs, the Maya, and the Inca in Mexico, they just suddenly changed the name of the mall from Sharpstown Mall to Plaza Americas. So Plaza Americas is linked to Mexico, linked to the Indians of Mexico. Not the Spanish. Independence from Spain, Cinco de Mayo. The Maya, okay. So the Indian territories is what I'm interested in Mexico. It takes me to the Petén region, takes me to Guatemala, in the highlands. As they call it, the Maya highlands. It was preceded by the Afro-Asiatic people called the Olmecs. You see the ancient city-states of the whole Yucatan region. I'm in Texas right now, but right across the Gulf of Mexico. It's the pre-Columbian era of America, which takes me back to like 1,200 years before Christ. They take me back to Poverty Point, Louisiana, 1,500 years before Christ, where they find relics of the land of Canaan, the Baal and the Ashtoreths that they say in the Bible that the children of Israel began to worship, instead of worshiping the Lord, their God of the land of Egypt, meaning the Lord, the God that brought Israel out of Egypt. They were always against the Baals and the Ashtoreths being worshipped. That's a thing of worship. Those little figurines and statues, those things date to 1500 BC. They were found in Poverty Point, Louisiana. Okay. And those mounds, it was a little city being built, and it looked similar to something I saw in Tunisia and I saw in Carthage, okay, in the old Mediterranean world. Those same things had been found here in the Gulf of Mexico, Louisiana. The Louisiana is one of those places along that Mississippian Indian culture that was at the Mississippi River, okay? And they date around through the BC period all the way to the time of Christ. So I have learned all of these designs, learned the city plans of my ancestors that went in the ruins. I learned about the ruined places, the Avenue of the Dead in Teotihuacan. That's what they called it, because all those people died off. It's like Ragnarok in the Nordic mythology. The doom of the gods. God's people died here. And all these famous pyramid ruins and all these ruined cities. Historically, it said the Spanish conquered us. Conquistadors conquered the Aztecs and took all their gold and took all of their land and stole everything out the empire. The ending of the Aztec Empire was the rise of the Spanish. So the Spanish people today, they're living off of the benefit of the evil of their ancestors who conquered the Indians and massacred them and killed them and took all their things. So now they are in the land with ill-gotten gains, ill-gotten land holdings. They living in the land, not by the ancient design that God had planned for the Aztecs, the Inca, and the Maya, okay? Which I say were the Olmecs and the Toltecs, the great peoples of the pre-Columbian era of America. Now, I'm from the past. I am from those ruined cities with the masonry, with the knowledge of my ancestors. And now they have built this European colony, and these European nations have now built their city over the dead people. City. Over the Aztecs, over the Maya, over the Inca, over the Olmecs, and the Toltec cities. Now the Spanish have built their city over the ruins for what their ancestors did to those people. I am one of the last people of those ruined places that they built their city over. And now we are re-emerging in a day, 500 years later. 2019, 500 years since Hernan Cortez and the Spanish Inquisition conquered the Aztecs and stole everything. And they went over in South America, and the Inca and the Maya were destroyed by the Spanish. Machu Picchu, at all these different places. They said the Spanish conquistadors. Now this is the 500th year. And I am one of those people. One of the gods of the modern world that's born out of the history books of those ruined cities. You dig what I'm saying? That's the whole concept of what I'm doing. Beyond the walls of time, I can still tell you what happened in those lands, like Cholula, where they have built this church over the Teotihuacanos, who are linked to the Olmecs and the Toltecs, who are Afro-Asiatic people. And now these Europeans and the Spanish from the Vatican, Rome, the Romans are upon the people of God, just like in the time of Christ. The Romans are upon us. In Judea, Rome, they destroyed, Judea ceased to exist because of the Roman Empire. And this is what the same thing happened after the Crusade period. It was the same people. And they had manifested themselves on the earth and became more numerous and more populated than everybody else. Gog and Magog had spread at the four quarters of the earth and mass deceived everybody. And they built their cities under mass deception. And the Scythians are trained to blind you and keep you bound to them, for you won't learn the truth about yourself. So I mean, I have learned all these things in secret, out of my own free will, my own heart desire, and self-determination, wanted to know it. So, and they have built their cities over us for 500 years now. This is the 500th year. I have the knowledge of my ancestors, knowledge of, and to build those ancient cities again and reform them and redeem them out of the ashes of time. After 500 years in oblivion and non-existence, where we went forgotten, they lost our history. They didn't know anything about this anymore. We were bound and we were blinded by the Scythians, by the people of the North. They didn't let you know yourself anymore for 500 years. We have been in ruins. Our whole Afro-Asiatic empire in the Americas, the West Indies, we have been laid in ruins, hidden in the sands of time, like we never knew nothing about these people. And those people are us. That's how I feel inside. We have been lost for 500 years here in a land now not our own. These white man cities they built over our ruined empire. And they have taken all of the gold off of the Egyptians, taken all of the gold from King Tut out the Valley of the Kings, and all of the treasure of the Aztec and the Maya, the Inca, and built this white man city. So, I mean, and set up this world abomination on the earth, have everybody living in mass deception. It's a homosexual agenda, and the world is messed up, and it ain't under God's design anymore that he had originally had designed with the Hebrews who come out the land of Egypt, who found Mexico and were called the Olmecs. So I've been doing this research. That's the whole point of my message on this post right here is that's what I've been learning here. And I have revived it and redeemed it out of the ashes and learned all of those things, and I'm putting it back together again. And we got Plaza America's Mall, Southwest Houston, and they got the Stone of the Fifth Sun right here. That epoch where the Spanish Inquisition and the European nations had mass deceived us for so long, that epoch was supposed to end in the year 2012. So this is the 7th year since the ending of the Maya calendar round, okay? The Stone of the Fifth Sun right here. It's supposed to come to end December the 21st, 2012. Now we're in 2019. And it has come to an end. The new religion, or the new faith in God is returned. The New Jerusalem, what the Sixth Seal is saying, has been opened. They opened the door to the New Jerusalem. Somebody has a pillar of faith in God's temple right here. There's something in the book of Isaiah chapter 19, 20 through 25 that I ought to read that's based on the same thing. Well, I want to conclude right here. I'm interested in Mexico to do some apparel, to do a clothing line, to get the textiles, to get the jade, to get the precious metals and stuff, to make jewelry and to do furniture. So stay tuned. That's my interest in Mexico.